Hello and welcome to the Brian Hornback Podcast. This is episode 111. And we're going to talk about what's going to happen on Wednesday, October the 19th. On Wednesday, October the 19th, you're going to go to the polls. Well, no, you're not necessarily going to go to the polls on Wednesday, October 19th. The election is not until Tuesday, November the 8th. But early voting will begin on Wednesday, October the 19th, and will run through November the 3rd. And then Election Day is on November 8th. Now, beginning on Wednesday, October the 19th, you can go to any of 5 or 6 early vote locations. And on brianhornback.com, we will let you know where those locations are. Typically, they're the same locations. In South Knoxville, they're at Meridian Baptist Church. In East Knoxville, you can go to the Eternal Life Harvest Worship Center right there at 5 Points, where MLK and right there at the intersection, what we know as 5 Points. If you're in East Knoxville, you know what I'm talking about. New Harvest Park, for those of you in East or North. For those of you up in the Carter community, at the Carter Senior Center. For those of you in the Halls community, that's in the Halls Senior Center in the rec area. Or for those of you in the Carnes area, that's at the Carnes Senior Center. For those of you in Farragut, that's at Farragut Town Hall. For those of you in West Knoxville, that's at the Downtown West Shopping Center. So those are predominantly the locations. Did I say South Knoxville? Meridian Baptist Church. Those are the locations where you can cast early votes. I would encourage you to cast early votes because, one, it's convenient. You don't have to try to find where the Election Commission may or may not have moved you. Sorry, Chris Davis at the Election Commission. Sorry, election commissioners. I know you've not moved anybody recently, but since I moved to Southwest Knox County in 1992, my voting location has changed about 3 times. I voted North Shore. I voted Shoreline Church on Westland Drive. I can tell you that in the time that they assigned me to Shoreline Church, I've never voted at Shoreline Church, predominantly because I vote early vote. Back several years ago, I would never cast a vote during early vote. I believed in casting votes on Election Day, but I succumbed to peer pressure. I succumbed to the convenience of early voting, and I vote early. But there's several things on the ballot. The governor is on the ballot. Governor Bill Lee is opposed by Jason Martin, the Democrat, and several independents. One independent is from Knoxville, and that's Constance Every. And there's another one that's a former state trooper, Mr. Morgan, is running as an independent. Obviously, it's an uphill battle for an independent, but they are running, and they are on the ballot. And then after you deal with governor, you have 4 constitutional amendments. You have Constitutional 1, which is a right to work. I've already had the CEO of the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce on my Brian Hornback Experience podcast to talk about the reason to have that. I've reached out to the AFL-CIO. They've not returned an interest in talking about why to vote no on Amendment 1. That's fine. I understand. On Amendment 2, that is about the governor's incapacitation. I had Tennessee State Senator Becky Duncan Massey on to talk about why you should vote in favor of number 1. We're the only state, we're one of 8 states in the union that do not have a plan in our state constitution for what happens if the governor's incapacitated. We're not talking about if the governor dies. We're not talking about if the governor is removed from office. We're talking about if he's incapacitated for any amount of time. If he's incapacitated for 2 days, 3 days because of a surgery. Again, we just put a secession plan in the Constitution with the approval of Amendment 2. I've not found an organized organization in opposition to number 2. Number 3 is removing slavery from the state constitution. I've reached out to Representative Jeremy Faison. He and Representative Joe Towns have sponsored the legislation that put Amendment 3 on the ballot. Representative Faison, who's also a Republican leader in the state Republican caucus, has indicated that he will do a podcast. We've not been able to confirm a time and date. The day or two before this podcast, I had reached out to him with 3 opportunities to do that. I hope to be able to do that. And then on Amendment 4 is allowing those individuals who are clergy to serve in our legislature. Supreme Court ruled that you can't prohibit individuals who are pastors or in the clergy from serving in the legislature. But our Constitution still has that verbiage. I had State Senator Mark Pody on a podcast on the Brian Hornback Experience to talk about that and talk about the reasons of why we should eliminate or match our Constitution with the ruling of the United States Supreme Court. I've had several candidates on in the last couple of months. Gloria Johnson, a Democrat candidate for District 90. She's also the current representative for District 13. I've had who else have I had on? I'm looking at my list here. I've had Brian Langan, the Democrat candidate for Tennessee State Senate District 7 on. I've had Zeke Streetman, the Democrat candidate for Tennessee State District 19 on. And that might be it. So I've reached out to everybody. I've reached out to all the Democrats. I've reached out to all the Republicans. If they're not on the Brian Hornback Experience podcast, it's because either one, they've opted not to, or 2, they've just not responded. And that's okay. I get that. 17 years of being a blogger and now being a podcaster for the last 3 years, I get that. I always let them know that my podcast are no gotcha questions. And if they seek to take me at that, that's fine. I have communicated with Amanda Collins, who's the Democrat in District 14. I have communicated with Congressman Tim Burchett. I guess I left off. At some point, I did an interview with Mark Harmon, who is the candidate for... we don't want to do that. No. We don't want to do that. Sorry about that. I did a podcast with Mark Harmon, who's the Democrat candidate for U.S. Congress. I have communicated with Congressman Tim Burchett. Obviously, his stepdaughter was involved in an accident back in the summer, and so they've been having to deal. When I reached out to him the last time, she was up for a follow-up surgery. So obviously, I understand that from Congressman Burchett's point of view. And so we'll try to get him on before November the 8th. But other than that, that's kind of where we're at on the November 8th ballot. We hope to get more people on. I haven't been on in the last couple of weeks because, one, I've changed jobs. I've changed jobs. I've left the grocery industry after 35 plus years. I've taken a new position. And so things are going to continue to evolve. I'll continue with my new employer. I've got the clearance to continue doing the blog, and you'll be able to hear more about that as time goes on. But, again, the whole point in the BrianHornback.com, the Brian Hornback Experience, is to get information out. It's not to be the Sean Hannity. It's not to be the Tucker Carlson. of Knoxville and Knox County, it is to simply get information out so that when you go to the polls, you know what you're voting on, who you're voting for. No one who's paying attention, no one who's paying attention uh, doesn't know that I'm a Republican. No one who's paying attention doesn't know that I'm a conservative. What's interesting, though, is that those who are paying attention, who have paid attention for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 17 years, know that the Democrats have been more receptive. What is that? Sorry about that, whatever that is. I guess that's just a missed shot from the. I did go and have a beard trim yesterday and have a haircut. Not going to show you that. But I guess it's just a missed shot. Anyway, anyone who knows me knows that, obviously I have a political ideology, right? I am the Republican State Executive Committee man for State Senate District 6 for the next 4 years. 4 years and 11 and a half months. So everyone knows where I'm coming from, okay? But Democrats have been more receptive to talk to me than Republicans, and that's fine. Again, it's an educational information podcast and website, and that's the way it's going to continue to be for the next several months and years. Just getting information out. Here's the deal. The TV stations want to give you not even 30 seconds. They want to give you 10 seconds, 15 seconds. The newspapers, I'm not sure they even have enough staff to even do the obituaries, to be perfectly honest with you. So my goal is, one, I spent 17 years creating this website and now 3 or 4 years creating this blog, this podcast. My goal is to educate you. The one thing I don't want to happen is I don't want you going to vote and not know who you're voting for. I don't want you to go and vote because you recognize a name on the ballot. I don't want you going to vote because you're not 100% sure what they believe in. I want you to go vote because you know what they believe in and their views match yours. I hope that their views and your views match with the Republican Party, because as now a state executive committee man for now the last over a year and 3 months, I hope that our party is giving you candidates that reflect your views. If they're not, then shame on us. But if they are, then I want you to go vote for them. If they aren't, then you should have alternatives, right? I won't officially advocate for that to happen, but reality is reality. And so this blog and this podcast operate separate from my position within the Republican Party. And will continue to do so, just as it's operated separate from my professional career and now my new professional career. But again, I just want to come on for episode 111, kind of let you know where we're at, let you know that beginning Wednesday at several early vote locations, and those will be published on brianhornback.com, you can go cast your votes, or for governor, for the constitutional amendments, four of them on the ballot. And then obviously if you're in State Senate District 7, which is Dr. Briggs or Brian Lanigan, and then in any of the state Senate districts, state representative districts in Tennessee, then you can hopefully cast an informed vote. That's Jason Zachary and Amanda Collins in District 14. That would be Sam McKenzie or Pete Drew in District 15. Michelle Carringer, the Republican, is unopposed in 16. And then, man, I'm doing this by memory. I really shouldn't do this. So let me get to my Handy Knox Votes website. Let me accept the cookies. Let me see what's the upcoming elections. So 14. So we've already talked about Congressman Burchett and former Commissioner Mark Harmon. We've already talked. Also in State Senate District 5, for those of you in Knox County that are in State District 5, Randy McNally, I believe, is unopposed. I believe his candidate withdrew. In District 7, you have Dr. Richard Briggs and his opponent, Brian Lanigan. In District 14, again, is Jason Zachary and his opponent, Amanda Collins. In 15, again, is Sam McKenzie and his opponent, Pete Drew. In 18 is, in District 18, is going to be Elaine Davis versus Greg Kaplan. Those are two new ones because Eddie Manis served one term, 2 years in the House, and he stepped out. So Republican Elaine Davis and Democrat Greg Kaplan. In District 19, that is current State Representative David Wright, and the Democrat is Zeke Streetman, who I've had on. And there's an independent named Marianne Roche in District 19. In District 89 is State Representative Justin Lafferty and his opponent M.D. Dotson. And in District 90, that is Gloria Johnson and David Posey. Now, Gloria Johnson, surprisingly to me and anybody else who's listened to that podcast, Gloria Johnson did come on the Brian Hornback Experience and did an interview. Again, no gotcha questions. That's the first thing I tell folks, is that there's no gotcha questions. I just want to talk about people's background, people's platforms, and what they're going to do if they're elected to another term. We had a good conversation. So that is the Knox County ballot. So I hope you'll make every opportunity beginning on Wednesday, October 19th, to cast an early vote through November the 3rd. And then on Tuesday, November 8th, I hope you'll go cast a vote in that election if you don't cast an early vote. So again, I appreciate you tuning in to the Brian Hornback Experience, episode 111. Again, this is just a precursor to what's coming up beginning on Wednesday with early vote. And those early vote locations, as I've already stated, are, let me pull those up for you. Again, it's out in East Knoxville. It's the Eternal Life. It's the Eternal Life Harvest Fellowship Center out on 2410 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. The City County Building, small assembly room, if you want to pay to park and walk and go through security. Downtown West Shopping Center at 1645 Downtown West Boulevard, the new Harvest Park that I'd already mentioned. That's out there off of Washington Pike. Meridian Baptist Church, for those of you in South Knoxville. The Knoxville Expo Center, that's at 5441 Clinton Highway. That's at the corner of Clinton Highway and Merchants Road. Farragut Town Hall, for those of you in Farragut, 11408 Municipal Center Drive. The Carter Senior Center at 9036 Asheville Highway. The Halls Recreation Center at 6933 Recreation Lane. And the Carnes Senior Center at 8042 Oak Ridge Highway. Go by and check knoxvotes.org or knoxcounty.org/elections to find out the times, because I know that particularly at the Carnes Senior Center, those hours are not always available on the weekends, particularly in the early days of early voting, but particularly in the later days of early voting. So be sure and check those. Be sure and go to the knoxvotes.org or knoxcounty.org/election and check those hours and dates. Basically, they're pretty much open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturdays 10 to 3. They're closed on Sunday, but be sure and check specific locations for dates, times, because I know Carnes Senior Center has some specific hours. So thank you for tuning in to the Brian Hornback Experience. This is episode 111, and y'all have a great week.